We want to also bring in Carlos Gonzalez, a business owner who had to shut down operations today because of these protests. Carlos, first of all, what kind of business do you have, and then whereabouts are you located?
Well, we're actually, hi, by the way. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. A lot better than what we experienced today earlier here in the Fashion District. We are about a block and a half away from Ambiance, and then we do a lot of private labeling, logistics, consolidating for boutiques nationwide. And a lot of these vendors actually, send product over to us, and then we send it out again across all 50 states and internationally as well. So these kind of things, these kind of actions are actually counterproductive as far as how it impacts the economy, because not only is there a huge fear aspect. For example, in my case, as we've seen in previous raids and social media and everything that's going on, these people, they don't ask questions. It's just like they put you in handcuffs, they throw you in. And, we've gotten a lot of reports from, friends and other people in the industry that, throw you in jail, ask questions later. And a lot of the times people aren't even getting due process and are getting deported within the same day. Like they get handcuffed in the morning, in the evening, they're already in a different country. And that definitely affects, our community in general, and it has a domino effect in the economy, which unfortunately this administration is not paying attention to. They're focused into trying to, make America great, but harming the economic factor, and all this fear is not going to turn out positive. It's something that is, the people are starting to raise up. I'm a Mexican. I was actually brought here when I was a baby, raised all my life, undocumented. Thank God I was able to, apply for legalization, currently have documents, but it's still that fear that I remember when my parents, when I was small, they would tell me, Carlos, make sure you do good in school, make sure, sorry.
No need to apologize.
Make sure you try not to, shoot, even pay your taxes one way or another. File some type of documentation. Make sure that you're not a bullseye to calling out attention. And that's what a lot of people, they don't realize, that most actual immigrants that have been working, that are the backbone of this country, we're literally supporting our families, and we're trying to build a better future, not just for ourselves, but for our community. And, there's a lot of racist groups that are just blindsided by whatever comments are being made, and not understanding that it ultimately affects them, and it is going to affect them down the line. And they don't really care what happens to our community, which is very, it's hurtful to us, because, again, majority of anything that is being worn by any given citizen on any given day has been touched by an immigrant. And if it wasn't because of us, majority of this industry, as far as fashion industry, there wouldn't be any industrial economy as big as it is right now. And, maybe I overspoke a little bit, but it's just so frustrating, having to see, like, the military here's like, why are people in it? How are they here on the streets just creating all this fear? It makes no sense, and it only creates a lot of anger. And eventually, if it goes unchecked, unfortunately, people are going to start getting hurt, which obviously nobody wants to see. But everybody is getting pushed to that limit. Not just here in Fashion District. We saw it in San Diego. We saw it in Missouri, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just, it's heart-wrenching to see families being torn apart. And, it's not about doing it the right way, because we already saw people are getting detained also when they're going to their court cases, when they're going to their citizenship, last hearings. And it's extremely frustrating. Frustrating.
Carlos, and I can empathize with your thoughts on this. It's obviously emotionally charged, but there is a segment of the voting population that stood by President Donald Trump when he said, "I am going to do this," and they elected him president. So what do you say to those folks who said, "This is what he said, this is what he's doing, and this is what I want"?
Well, it's funny because, again, I've been in business for over 15 years, and a lot of my colleagues, as far as business, not necessarily partners, but vendors that we deal with, majority of them actually voted for the industry. And we've had adult conversations as opposed to, their thought process. And, I'm always for growth, for mutual respect. I'm always for, moving forward as far as like what can benefit the general aspect here as far as the fashion district goes. And then we've always had our back and forths. And currently, all of those vendors, and I message them all the time, is like, hey, did you see what's going on? A lot of them now are quiet. And all they tell me is and it's even more frustrating because what they tell me is like, well, I didn't know that this was going to happen. I didn't know that, this is not exactly what I voted for. I thought they were going to go, after a certain group of people or a certain community, and it's frustrating to me because it's like, you're a business owner, you should know, how to leverage risk. You should understand that this is not the first rodeo. We've seen this in the previous time where this administration was in effect, and all it caused was chaos. And
Carlos,
I remember that.
Carlos, we want to thank you very much for your time. We appreciate your words. We understand, and we are very sympathetic here also to your thoughts.
All right. Again, we will continue to monitor the situation as this unfolds. Meantime, you can get up-to-the-minute details on the NBCLA app and, of course, on our website, NBCLA.com.
That's right. We'll see you right here on the NBC4 News at 3.